I did not expect to be emotional as I opened this up. Brother Young, this letter is to inform you of the decision of the Disciplinary Council that was held in your behalf on 9 September 2018 at the Houston, Texas South Stake Center. We have carefully and prayerfully reviewed this matter in order to reach a decision on what action to take. The decision of the council that you be excommunicated for conduct contrary to the laws and order of the church. This means that you are no longer a member of the church and do not enjoy any privileges of membership. You may not hold a temple recommend, wear temple garments, pay tithes and offerings, or exercise the priesthood in any way. We welcome you to attend public church meetings if your conduct is orderly, but you may not serve in a church position, speak, or offer a public prayer in church meetings, partake of the sacrament, or participate in the sustaining of church officers. This action was not taken because of your opinion or position on protecting children. No, they are wrong about that. It was taken only because of my outright public position. The church has a strong desire to protect children. Then show it! Come out of that building right there and come out and demonstrate that you have a strong desire to protect our children. And as you know, issued updated guidelines for interviewing youth earlier this year. Teaching standards of morality to youth and helping them follow those standards, including in interviews with priesthood leaders, is an important responsibility of parents and of the church. The issue is not that you have concerns, or even that you disagree with the church's guidelines.
Yeah, it's all about that.
Rather, it is your persistent, aggressive effort to persuade others to your point of view. Rather, it is your persistent, aggressive effort to persuade others to your point of view by repeatedly and deliberately attacking and publicly opposing the church and its leaders. I don't oppose the church and its leaders. I oppose a policy that is harming our children. And you better believe I am going to be aggressive and outspoken. When children's lives are at stake. You are entitled to your opinion or position. You bet I am, and I'm speaking that. But you cannot remain a member in good standing while attacking the church and its leaders and trying to get others to follow you. You may appeal the decision of the Disciplinary Council to the First Presidency within 30 days if you decide to do so. Please send me a written statement specifying the alleged errors or unfairness in the procedure or decision. I will then forward your statement to the First Presidency. Excommunication almost always lasts at least 1 year. In order to be readmitted to membership in the church, you'll need to demonstrate that you have stopped actions to undermine the church and its leaders. Please understand that your decision is an invitation to you to return and repent. I'm not going to repent. For me, it is impossible. My integrity would forbid me from repenting of following Jesus Christ and protecting our children. We invite you to return to God's covenant path and enjoy the blessings He has in store for you and your family. I invite my church leaders to return to the covenant path and mourn with those that mourn. Comfort those that stand in need of comfort. Stand as a witness of Jesus Christ at all times and places. That was my baptismal covenant. With your consent, your bishop and stake president will continue to assist you in that process. And I am willing to assist them in the process of returning to the covenants that they made at baptism. Now, I plan to write a response to both an exoneration or an excommunication. Unfortunately, I ran out of time. I finished this morning at 4:30 in the morning, and so I didn't write an exoneration response. So, I don't need one. What a supreme disappointment. Let me start by forgiving my stake president. In a church court, he is the sole decision maker. No one else has a vote. But I'm not going to lay this travesty on him. I don't believe he had any choice. This has been orchestrated by the very people who felt their authority was threatened by me, the leadership at the very top.
Yeah, that's power.
They have shown their true colors. The verdict is all about them and their power structure. They sent down the edict to protect themselves rather than to protect our precious children. They continue to mandate one-on-one interviews where sexually explicit questions are approved and facilitated. I have confronted the top church leaders with a list of 29 disgusting, filthy questions that are being asked to our children. Their response, they responded with silence. The First Presidency condones this pornography behind closed doors with our children. This is sickening. I presented the same 29 probing questions as evidence at my tribunal. They were not silent. They excommunicated me. The whistleblower has been kicked out and branded with the label of apostasy. I'll wear that as a proud label. If it's apostasy to stand up for our own children, I will gladly wear that label. I also presented the apostles with several thousand horror stories of how their policies have wrought dreadful damage. They ignored these accounts of their own victims, brushed them aside with not a single mention. At the tribunal, as part of my evidence, I gave all 16 members of the council a printed book with 802 accounts of abuse resulting from one-on-one interviews with probing, sexually explicit questions. 802. No thank you was uttered. No compassion for the victims was spoken. Instead, they chose to kick the whistleblower out. I want to share 4 observations with you. Number 1, by excommunicating the whistleblower, the apostles have chosen to protect themselves and throw the bishops under the bus. They have shown a complete disregard for the reputation of the local congregational leaders. For too long, Mormon children have been collateral damage of one-on-one interviews with Mormon bishops. This is going to be reversed. The values of society are changing for the better. Mormon bishops are going, it's Mormon bishops that are going to be collateral damage rather than children. Now, I'm not happy about that, but that's the way it is going to be. Many parents and children are not going to stand for this any longer. I am now aware of 3 interviews between minors and bishops that have been recorded. I just received the following about a recent bishop's interview. Quote,
Yeah, love it.
my 15-year-old daughter had a bishop's interview, and he asked her if she views pornography. My daughter said no. Then the bishop asked her, what would you do if your friends walked up to you and tried to show you pornography? In what sick fantasy world does this bishop think my daughter needs to answer his questions about a fictional scenario in which teenage girls watch pornography together? Worthiness interviews are insane and need to stop. She recorded her interview. But I think it might be against the law to do that in our state without both parties' permission. It was not in Utah. I will post if I'm wrong, unquote. Many people are fed up. Teenagers have cell phones. Before I entered last Sunday's tribunal, my cell phone was confiscated to prevent a recording. In addition, I was forced to sign a non-record agreement on penalty of being barred from my own hearing. Going forward, the church will not be able to prevent teenagers from recording masturbation interviews. Bishops and bishop counselors, I'm talking to you now, bishops and bishop counselors, I encourage and warn you, do not take children all alone behind closed doors. Do not discuss sex. From now on, by the way, when I start talking before the clapping stops, can you hear me? Or you can, okay. Do not discuss sex. From now on, every time you do, you risk your reputation and livelihood. 2, in Massachusetts, if you call the child abuse hotline and tell them that a man is taking a child in private and asking them probing sexual questions about their masturbation, pornography, and sexual activities, they will start an investigation. If you told them it was a Catholic priest who was doing it, they would be even more interested in investigating. If you told them it was a Mormon bishop who was doing it, they would say it makes no difference. In 18 states, including Utah, Idaho, and Arizona, all citizens are mandated reporters when they become aware of child abuse. What the church subjects our children to is abusive. When more parents start waking up to that fact, people are going to start reporting the local bishops for conducting these interviews, and state authorities will take actions. Bishops, be warned. People are now watching. Children are now recording. Your livelihoods, reputations are at risk. My excommunication is a clear demonstration that the church is not serious about child safety. And they certainly don't give a damn about your safety either, bishops. Nope. You are on your own. When bishops start being reported to the child abuse hotline, that bishop's reputation will be toast. And it will tarnish the reputation of all bishops. You will become the collateral damage of a policy that protects no one. Not you, not our children.
Not you.
3. Some people claim that what Mormons allow to be done to their children doesn't really affect the general society outside the Mormon Church. That is a very bogus claim. When our children die by suicide, the effects ripple in other children's lives. When Mormon children are shamed into self-hatred, they often start making terrible decisions, turning to alcohol, drugs, disastrous marriages, divorce. A dysfunctional self-loathing youth becoming a dysfunctional self-loathing adult. Our practice has put many kids in a shame cycle that causes their self-worth to spiral lower and lower, drowning them in anxiety and desperation. This is very costly to the welfare of our entire society. 4.
Thank you, Sam.
I have been excommunicated from the church,
We don't deserve you.
but they have no power to excommunicate me from the cause of protecting children. And protecting the healing of my friends. There are tens of thousands of us who are actively involved in the movement to protect LDS children. I now direct my words to the victims and survivors of worthiness interviews. We see you. We hear you. We are sorry for what happened to you. It was wrong. Very wrong. We know you were horribly hurt. You were alone. You were a mere child. Today, we boldly stand up and speak up to give your child self a voice. Thank you for allowing me and all of us to be a part of your healing journey. Thank you for locking arms with me and so many others in daring to face down the Mormon Church in order to protect today's children. For our children's sake, this whistleblower is not going to stop roaring.
Yeah.